Hello and welcome to the Final Furlong podcast and our first belated episode of the new year. You can skip forward if you want, just indulge me for a second because I can really only talk about this once. I just wanted to thank everybody for the incredibly kind words and very, very nice things that have been said since my mother passed away on New Year's Eve. She battled cancer since 2018. She was given the all clear in 2020. Then the world came to a standstill and got it again in 2022, and it came back in a really, really aggressive and very, very bad way. She fought it with great bravery and incredible dignity right until the very end. It broke her heart that she was going to be in hospital for Christmas. It was the last thing she wanted, and that wasn't for her, that was for me. I managed to be able to bring her home for Christmas Day for a few hours on Christmas morning, and we actually went to my cousin's house, and she had a lovely, lovely day with Patricia, Patrick, our friend Rose and me. Her appetite had been really bad over the last couple of months, but she ate all around her that day. And despite the fact that she had specifically asked specialists only a few weeks ago when she was told the cancer had spread to her lungs, was this it? Was she facing the end? And they told her, no, you've got a very, very long battle ahead. She knew. And I know she knew because when that day was coming to an end, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, she took my hand and said, I want to go home, son. She wanted to come home here, spend a couple of hours with us. And as she was trying to stand up with Patrick helping her, she said, I just want to thank you all for the memories of this day. It really means a lot to me. And I thought that was such a strange thing to say. Why would you say that? You'd say you had a lovely day and you really enjoyed it, but she didn't. She said it again. I really appreciate the memories of this day. And it's only after she passed away I realized that what she meant was for me. She didn't want her final memories, or my last memories of her being in a hospital. So she fought very, very hard, and gave me those memories. And I know from what she wrote in her Christmas card that she knew as well. So anybody who's facing the fight, know that you can beat it. Ma'am beat it before, and if you've fought it, then I'm sure that you've fought it with the same kind of bravery and dignity that she did. And she fought a whole lot braver and a whole lot stronger than I ever could have. So thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the nice things that have been said. It means an awful lot. And like I said on the Christmas preview, racing is a distraction that we all need, and I badly need it right now. I'm very, very grateful to Peter and Andy for coming on the show, particularly seeing as I pulled the Crazy Ivan and changed the format of this show at the last second, because I don't know what's going to happen with the weekend racing. So we've changed it to a Cheltenham special instead. And I've had a lot of people who have never met reach out to me, and a lot of people I barely know reach out and say some of the nicest things. So I can't reply to everybody yet, but I will in time. And I'm very, very grateful for it. It means a lot. Thank you. And a huge thanks to Jeff Banks, who's been incredibly, incredibly decent when he really didn't need to be. And I very much appreciate the decency and the kindness from him as well. Okay, Peter Michael and Andy Newton with me as we take a look at some of the Cheltenham Festival markets on the back of what we saw over the Christmas racing, which includes the victory or comeback victory from Constitution Hill in the Christmas hurdle at Kempton. And it was a race that I think some of us on this show were pretty confident that he was going to go and win the race. Some of us were pretty confident that Lossiemouth was going to go and do it. In the end, Constitution Hill ran out a pretty emphatic winner. All that talk turned out to be a lot of fuss about nothing, and now he's the 6-4 on favourite with Jeff Banks bet for the champion hurdle to regain the title that he won effortlessly a couple of years ago. Lossiemouth out to 4-1, having been favourite. Brighter days ahead. Will she? Won't she? She's the same price with Jeff at 4s, and the reigning champion Stateman, who was basically disappointing along with a number of Willie Mullins horses, is out to 11s. Anzadam, who we talked about at 50s and 33s, into 12-1, but no sign of him since. Peter, is Constitution Hill still Constitution Hill? Is he still the racehorse that he was a couple of years ago? Or is, even with his swaggering comeback, is there now a question mark about him?
Well, before we move on to the things we all need to occupy head, I just wanted to say that was very brave of you there. And I know what you're going through, because I went through similar with my mum, and you're showing great bravery there, and it's so fair play to you, and our thoughts are with you constantly for the next period of time. And as I said to you, just get your head down and keep yourself as occupied as you can, because you need distractions from things like that, and fair play to you. You're handling it incredibly well, and
I'm not.
You're a brave man.
But thank you, I appreciate
you're
that.
You're doing better than I would be, so, and Anyway, we need to move on and distract ourselves. So, to answer your question, I mean, look, people were doubting him before the race, and I don't think you can doubt him after that. Whether he's as good as he was, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, this market is just, this race is just, it's a puzzle all around, isn't it? Lossiemouth didn't seem to be going the same pace. It didn't seem to be going the early pace. And then she stayed on well. But at the line, I don't think she was closing any more in Constitution Hill. I think the gap was the same. I don't think she was closing down in the last 50 yards. You had to be impressed with him coming back from his layoff and whatever had gone on with him. You couldn't knock him. Whether he's as good as he was, I won't know. I won't know. Strong, which is probably the champion hurdle for him, I'd imagine. We'll get to see then, who the real champion is in 2025. But yeah, look, he did everything right on the day. He was brilliant. He was impressive, and is he as good as he was? I really can't answer that question. I don't know. I need to see more racing, but he's the right favourite, definitely. As I said, Lossiemouth ran a strange race. She looked not to be going, and then she kept on well and stayed on all the way to the line. But as I said, the last 50 yards or so, I don't think she was closing the winner down anymore. I think they were maintaining the same distance. What do we make of the Brighter Days Ahead race? I don't know what you guys made of that. It's a hard one to weigh up, isn't it? Kingsfield, as you said, Emmet, I got that wrong, which was stupid. It was obvious afterwards. Kingsfield was there to play the hare. And, Brighter Days Ahead just absolutely destroyed everything. But I don't know how to take that form. I mean, the fact that King of Kingsfield was still second, basically jumping the last. I think Stateman had just headed him. He was nearly falling in a hole turning around the bend, and the others couldn't close him down. So I don't know what to make of that race. I think we're better off reading the Brighter Days Ahead form on the race before that in Morgiana, try engaging her by that. But then again, maybe she's improved for those type of tactics. Like, being ridden the way Solarine and Limestone Lad was. They might ride her like that all the time now, which I think they will. And then you have Amsterdam as well at 12-1, who I was seriously impressed with. It was a Ferry House for Punchestown.
Yeah,
I don't have that in front of me. I was seriously impressed with that horse. I mean, he tanked the whole way. Now, he did knock one or two hurdles, which is a big concern. But I think they weren't going fast enough for him. I think that's why. And he clattered the last. But I think that's probably Townend kind of asked him to quicken pretty close to that. And he kind of just took off. And he didn't have time to correct himself. And then Paul said afterwards he couldn't pull the horse up. So he's definitely the dark horse in this race in my mind. But he's going to need one more run minimum. And probably that's all he's going to get between now and Cheltenham if he's to line up. But yeah, Constitution Hill is the one to beat for sure, and Amsterdam's probably the dark horse in the race for me.
Amsterdam holds an entry in the Irish Champion Hurdle at the Dublin Racing Festival. You'd imagine that would be a real acid test if he was to come through it. Then you'd be shocked if he didn't run in the Champion Hurdle. I'm just starting to wonder if there's a little bit of undesau about him, that they just won't go to Cheltenham this year with him. But given the fact that Sir Gino has gone chasing and the State Man was so disappointing, maybe the Donnellys need a backup, and that's him.
Still only 5. Got plenty of time. And
yeah, and he's
I was blown away. But I know he didn't beat a whole pile. I mean, Calaconti's no mug, don't get me wrong, but it's a different level of form. But just the way he did it was just so impressive.
He was also giving her weight, and she was race fit, and he just destroyed her. It was crazy. Angus McNay was saying on the day on Racing TV that you shouldn't really do a comparison between the tracks, but he won in a quicker time and clocked a faster overall top speed than Sir Gino at Newcastle on the same day. So you can take that with a pinch of salt if you want.
Bollocks. Different tracks. That's rubbish. Why are you even comparing that? Like, why is anybody even comparing that? Think about it. What's comparing? What are you comparing? Totally different track, probably different type of ground in the going stick, and you're comparing it? Come on, fill your show up with something else. Not you, Emmet, the guys in Racing TV. Fill it up with something else. But it's true.
Different races, different running styles, but some of this stuff could be interesting talking points. Different countries. Yeah, I remember Codwell Potter needed to acclimatise to Britain. He couldn't run at Cheltenham because it's such a different country. I think we know now why he didn't run at Cheltenham last year. Andy, does Constitution Hill even need to be the horse he once was to win this Champion Hurdle if Brighter Days Ahead's not going to go?
I mean, what's he rated? 175, I think, was when he won, his last champion hurdle. And a lot of people were sort of saying probably didn't run to that mark at Kempton last time out. I think a lot of people were, using, Burdett Road as a sort of benchmark. And, if it hadn't have fluffed the last, probably would have got, a lot closer. I think there was only, 9 lengths between them, So, but, the beauty for Constitution Hill is that it probably doesn't need to be a 175 horse, does it, to win a champion hurdle that, look, as racing fans, it would be great if Brighter Days Ahead, Lossiemouth and Constitution Hill obviously all went here and it was a big three-way, clash head-to-head, whatever you want to call it. But it looks like the two mares are going to go to the mares hurdle. We're going to have a nice clash there. So that is the sort of saving grace on day one. But unfortunately, if they do, this race is just going to be another complete walkover, really, isn't it, for Constitution Hill? Looking at the betting from, when you whacked it up of Jeff Banks a minute ago, a lot of these aren't even going to run in it, are they? So, Constitution Hill is going to figure in all the day one actors, as always, like they always do. You can either play it like that or try and find some kind of each way, sort of value, like you said, with the other Mullins halls. Probably, at the moment, what price is Burdett Road? 25 to 1. I mean, it's probably going to come here, likes the track, didn't run that badly in the Christmas hurdle. Certainly won't be 25 to 1 on the day, with all those other ones coming out. But, it's the Constitution Hill thing as well. We've still got, 2.5 months or so till the race. Anything can happen still. But look, if it turns up like it did at Kempton, it's going to improve for that run. I think de Boinville said that, the last half a furlong or so was blowing a little bit, wasn't he? But still had enough in hand. I mean, Lossiemouth still ran all right in that race. I mean, look, if they did decide to go champion hurdle with Lossiemouth, Cheltenham would obviously suit a lot better than Kempton. And fair play to you, Emmet. I mean, hats off to you. I mean, you called it absolutely spot on. I think we went back to that the festive podcast we did. You said back Constitution Hill in a double with Lossiemouth with the mares, and I can't remember what the prices were, but it was something like a 200 to 1 return, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 280 for a £10 stake.
Yeah, I mean, anyone, hopefully some people took your advice and did that. They'll be sitting on a nice trading position there, or just let it ride. We'll see. But look, you're going to have to be a bit of a brave man to be laying Constitution Hill, haven't you, really? And you just got to try and find something at a semi-bigger price, and probably Burdett Road for the forecast, potentially, if the other Mullins one doesn't come here. But there's just nothing else in it. I mean, look, Henderson or the Irish have won the champion hurdle 22 of the last 26 renewals. Oof. Right? Last British trained winner of the champion hurdle.
Not trained by Nicky Henderson. Rooster
exactly,
Booster?
Yeah, not trained by Henderson or Ireland. Yeah.
Rooster Booster?
Rooster.
No, Paul Nichols.
Oh, Celestial Halo.
Rock on Ruby.
I completely forgot about him.
Paul Nichols.
Hurricane Fly was sent off the odds-on favourite that year. It broke my heart.
Yeah, and then it went to Harry Fry straight after.
I think he was with Harry. I'm pretty certain that was Harry Fry's yard. Because that yard was then given to Harry Fry, because Paul Barber owned it and he siphoned it off and gave it to Harry. It's a little bit like Sir Michael Stout trained the winner of a champion hurdle, but really James Franchow did.
Yeah. I mean, but I think, I don't know, from Wikipedia, Paul Nichols is credited, but you're probably right.
Of course, yeah.
But and yeah, I mean that was the winner that was sandwiched in between the two Hurricane Fly wins. So yeah, I mean, obviously, if Constitution Hill will be the first horse to regain the champion hurdle since Hurricane Fly as well. Back in, when was that? 2013, I think, or something. So, it's going to be Constitution Hill if it turns up in one piece. We all know that. And, there's going to be in all the Accas, as I said, and we're just going to try and find a forecast, really. Probably Burdett Road for me, but yeah.
Yeah, I think Burdett Road is a good shout because at least he's going to run. I would really like it if Amsterdam runs, but I don't know that he won't, but I don't know that he will. And if he runs in the Irish Champion Hurdle, Brighter Days Ahead almost certainly won't, from what's being said. So, question for both of you, and first of all for Peter: should Brighter Days Ahead be running in the Champion Hurdle?
Absolutely. Well, how could you not run a mare like with all due respect to the Mare's Hurdle? It's a good race. It's a great race to win the festival. Nobody really cares about it. The Champion Hurdle, we'll be talking. Well, I mean, we won't really be talking in a few years' time who won the Mare's Hurdle in 2025. We won't. Well, these are all class horses and superstars. We won't be talking about it. You have a horse like that. How can you not go for the Champion Hurdle? But then again, these guys denied Tiger Roll for going for the hat trick in the Grand National. So I don't know what to make of them. I don't know how to read them. But if I was them, there's only one race I'd be going for with her.
I can understand what they're doing because they were strong-armed into running Apple's Jade in the Champion Hurdle when they kept insisting, no, we're going mares. And once she won the Irish Champion Hurdle, the media really forced them to do it. And she hated it. Champion Hurdle is a completely different race. It's a relentless gallop over 2 miles, half a furlong, on an undulating track with a stiff uphill finish. You never really stop. There's no break in that race. And she hated every second of it.
Wouldn't that be the same kind of like what happened in Leopardstown? That's the way they ran that race. I mean, they went a pretty decent pace there.
Touche.
And in fairness, yeah, so I don't know. Look, I mean, what's the point of being in the game if you have a horse like that and you're not going to take your chance in the Champion Hurdle?
Yeah, I mean, this all comes down to the fact that they extended Cheltenham to 4 days and they introduced the mares races. And if you look at some of the decisions that have been taken, they clearly regret some of the stuff. Like the Turners is not the race it once was. It's now a Grade 2 limited handicap. The National Hunt Chase has been changed. They've adjusted the handicap so that you have to have had 5 runs over hurdles and 4 runs over fences to push all the novices back into the proper Grade 1 races. The one thing they didn't change was the mares hurdles, except for making the Jack de Bromhead Mares Novice Hurdle a level weights contest. And Royal Ascot and Breeders' Cup, they've all got fillies only races or mares only races. So there's probably enough people. You talk to Willie Mullins, Henry de Bromhead, Gordon Elliott, Kenny Alexander, and all the big owners who've had success in that race, and they'll tell you they want that race there. The problem is you end up in a situation where Honeysuckle doesn't go for a 3rd Champion Hurdle and is celebrated going for the Mares Hurdle, but now people are bashing the O'Learys for deciding to do something similar with Brighter Days Ahead. But she has beaten the reigning champion State Man twice. The only question, Andy, is can you really say that's the actual State Man? Like, first time out, she was race fit, he wasn't, and he makes a mistake at the last. And the last day, there's no way that's State Man. That just couldn't be. He can't even beat Winter Fog.
No, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, it definitely weren't State Man's true running. I mean, what it has now, I think it's about 17 runs, State Man. So, there will be some people questioning, is it coming to the end of his tether or was that just a complete one-off? I don't know. But, I mean, look, Brighter Days Ahead now has nailed it twice. Yes, the last time probably below par. But, let's not forget it still beat it at Punchestown as well. I don't know. It's a tricky one for me because look, Gordon Elliott's never won a Champion Hurdle. I don't think, has he?
No, that's right.
And I don't think Gigginstown have either. So, they've got probably their best chance since maybe Apple's Jade that they can take that race. It's there. I'm not saying they're going to beat Constitution Hill, but they're going to get the mare's allowance obviously as well. She's rapidly improving. I think we can all agree on that. She's still probably got some improvement to go to get to Constitution Hill level, but I don't know. There's a couple of sort of things I could tick off the box there, Elliott and Gigginstown. But on the plus, they're setting up quite a good clash in the mares for us, aren't they? But we're getting one bit taken away in one race and a bit more back in the other race. But I mean, personally, I'll run it in Champion Hurdle.
I'm not entirely certain that you're right that Lossiemouth's going to end up in the Mayor's Hurdle. The way that Willie Mullins has talked since is about it's been a 2-year plan.
I hope it doesn't.
Yeah, well, I hope you're right. I hope you're right too. And I think there's also a possibility that there's been there was a major overreaction right after the race. Like, I'm pretty sure Jeff went 8s about
Really?
Lossiemouth for the champion hurdle. Yeah, well, some firms definitely did, and I think Jeff was one of them. She's back into 4s now. That was her first run over 2 miles in open company, and it was on a flat speed favoring track against one of the best hurdlers we've ever seen. Who, I think Peter's point was, is he going to be race fit? Do you trust Nicky Henderson to have a horse race fit first time up? Well, if you do, he's going to win. And that's how it played out. Whereas Cheltenham will suit her better. Her best performances come either over stamina trips or tracks that favour stamina. And the old course at Cheltenham very much places an emphasis on speed, but that race brings out the mix of speed and stamina. So you're probably going to see a better horse. A lot of Willie's horses just ran appallingly badly. And maybe she just didn't fire. Maybe she didn't handle the track, or maybe she just didn't fire for whatever reason. I'd be concerned that she was a negative in the betting that day as well. And I think that's something that Jeff talked about in the parade ring afterwards. Like, nobody... He wanted to fill the satchel up with as much Constitution Hill as he could. But then he saw Lossiemouth on the track and was like, uh-oh. This didn't look particularly good. And it was very similar with Ballyburn the next day. And no one wanted him. He's the most exciting novice chaser in training, and not a single person wanted to back him, except a dum-dum like me. So it's possible she still does. Yeah, well, look, we I think we were all fooled there. And I'm not entirely certain that that's a run I'd take literally either. But conversation for another day. But look, if those two end up in the Mayor's Hurdle, like if Jade de Grugy doesn't come through, and we'll probably see her soon enough, if she doesn't come through as the leading contender for Willie, and Jeff is going 13-2 about her for the Mayor's Hurdle, so she's probably the backup plan, or the one that they're thinking of for the Mayor's Hurdle. If that doesn't work out, then Lossiemouth is going to go back for that race, and Rich Ritchie has changed his mind about Cheltenham targets before. But if they do roll the dice and go for the champion hurdle, she shouldn't be out of the first 3. And if he doesn't fire for one reason or another, she could be the one to take advantage. Peter?
Yeah, I think they will, to be honest. I'm sorry, Emmet, sorry to say that. But Willie, I'm trying to read what Willie was saying, the fact that she was only beaten, what was she beaten in the end? 3 lengths, 2 lengths, whatever it was, I'm not even sure.
2.5, yeah.
But 2.5, but, from trying to read his body language, basically after the first few furlongs, he was delighted that she finished so close, and she's probably ran as bad as she could, according to him, and trying to read between the lines. So I don't see how they could be afraid of taking Constitution Hill on again, given the way he's thinking now. That's not what I'm saying, the way I'm thinking. It's the way he's thinking. So I think they'll be lining her up there in Cheltenham. As Andy said as well, the track will suit her better, and I think you said it, Emmet. So, and Constitution Hill obviously has had issues in the past as well, and sometimes whatever. I know his owner said he's never actually injured; it was just illnesses. But all these things eventually do take a toll on a horse. So I don't think I think they'll definitely want one more crack at him. Of that, I'm 100% sure. And obviously, the next opportunity of that is the champion hurdle. Yeah. So I think she'll line up there. And then if she does line up, then obviously then it's more likely brighter days ahead. We'll go to the Mayor's Hurdle, which, to be honest, will be sad to see, but that's the game.
It's a bit chewing, isn't it? I mean, if Lossiemouth does go champion hurdle, Paul Townend rides it or sticks with State Man?
Ooh.
Good question.
What does State Man do? What does State Man do in the Irish champion hurdle between now and then? And does Lossiemouth run in that race?
Mm. Yeah, exactly. There's a few ifs and buts yet, because obviously we've got a big festival, sandwiched in between still to come. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if it was me, if I was, I'd be riding Lossiemouth. But State Man is the current champ. But yeah.
Well, I'll give you the betting from one major firm, because Jeff hasn't priced up the Irish champion hurdle yet. One major firm goes 5-4 Lossiemouth Irish champion hurdle, 9-4 State Man.
Is Amsterdam quoted in that?
He is at 6-1.
He's the one now I'd be keeping an eye on. But he needs more experience before Cheltenham if he's going there.
Yeah.
You know, he caught my eye big time.
Yeah, you don't get many 5-year-olds, do you, in it? Few in the last.
But I think this guy could be special. I really do.
I agree.
Really think this Amsterdam.
I agree.
I really think.
I
mean, I was just immediately when I saw that race, I said this could be one of the best hurdlers we've seen, you know, from Ireland in a while.
Yeah,
that's what I said to myself. But of course, he's only ran once in Ireland and twice in France, so there's a lot of unknowns.
But that's how stylish the victory was. Like, you couldn't be anything but, oh my goodness, who is this? That's how good it was. All right, Amsterdam is 12-1 with Jeff Banks bet. Constitution Hill, 6-4 on favourite. Lossiemouth 4s, Brother Days Ahead 4s, State Man 11s. There's just a lot of dead wood in there. There's a lot of horses.
I mean, really, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, it's 5. Nothing else can win it. Burnett Road could place, like you guys said, absolutely. But there's only 5 horses that can win that race, and probably only 2 or 3.
What price the Constitution Hill going to be if, you know, Lossiemouth and Bright Days Ahead come out? Because I think last year was a State Man. Did State Man win at like 2-5 or something last year?
Yeah, he was short.
And I think the year before Constitution Hill was 4-11. And I don't know, don't quote me on it, but I think that 4-11 is probably got to be one of the shortest price champion hurdle favourites, you know, going back ever. I don't think it's, you know, so realistically, Constitution Hill is going to be shorter than 4-11 if the 2 mares come out. You agree or not? I don't know.
Oh no, I completely agree. And
unless State Man bounces back in Ireland, you know, in the Irish, at Dublin
even
Racing
if
Festival,
he does, Andy, he's got no chance against Constitution Hill. He murdered him by nearly 10 lengths.
I know. What I mean is it might keep his price, you know, I say respectable because it's still going to be heavily odds on if the mares come out. But, you know what I mean, it's going to be not a silly price. But look, if State Man bombs out again, you know, will they even run in a champion hurdle? I don't know. They might just, decide.
No, if he bombs out again, there's no point to take him. If he doesn't win the champion hurdle in Leopardstown, they won't take him.
No, exactly. So, you know, then that comes out. We're looking at, you know, potentially 1-4, 1-5. Surely, if those 3 come out, I mean,
I tell you what, you could be looking at a horse like
see.
how did Golden Ace win the Jack de Bromhead Novice Hurdle against Jade de Grugy and Brighter Days Ahead? How?
I was going to say that a minute ago. God, no, I know it's laughable.
She's 100-1 with Jeff Banks bet for the champion hurdle. Like, and by the way, no interest in it. Zero interest in
I
that.
saw something. I can't remember who it was now. Someone on the Racing Post has got like an ante-post portfolio, and she's in it. That at 100-1 champion hurdle. Whoever it was, I can't remember who it was now. But they obviously put it up, you know, months ago. But I mean, God, it should be being 200-1, didn't it? 300-1.
Well, you could make the argument that the race is going to fall apart and it's the only race that's really viable for her, and she might just sneak into the top 3, maybe. But
yeah. I mean,
you need a lot to. Yeah, that could happen. The same could happen with Dyserinos. But man, what a disappointment she's turned out to be.
Yeah,
it's all right. Is there any bet in this race that appeals to you at all right now, Peter?
Well, if I knew Amsterdam was going there, I would be backing him each way at 12-1. But obviously, I would really be needing him to run in the DRF because, you know, he'll need more experience. It will be very hard for him to go and win a champion hurdle in his 4th or 5th run. And as Andy said, he's quite young, but I think this guy could be special. But I couldn't back against Constitution Hill. To be honest, I think he'll win it. But if I knew Amsterdam was being targeted there, I'd back him each way at 12-1 because I think he'd place. And especially if Brighter Days Ahead runs with the tactics that she ran, because that guy was so keen, Amsterdam, that the faster they go, I think the better he's going to be, and he's going to jump better. So it could suit him down to the ground as she runs. So yeah, the only thing I can see there at value at the moment is Amsterdam. Nothing else makes any
Yeah,
value wise.
I agree. That could be a Danny Mullen special on the day, assuming Paul is on board Lossiemouth / State Man, whichever of the two he's on. Andy, anything that interests you?
Yeah, if Lossiemouth does go, I'd be willing to keep the faith one more time and have another crack at Constitution Hill. As we said, with the track and stuff, more suited than other. But apart from that, look, you're looking at a lot of ifs and ands and loads of horses to come out and possibly Constitution Hill to have another setback. But the one, it's got to be Burdett Road, really, if you're looking at one at a bigger price, not to win, obviously, if Constitution Hill gets there. But look, if Constitution Hill has a setback and the mares don't run in it, all of a sudden Burdett Road is like single figure odds, and it's pretty fun at the moment. Even if it does, end up there running against Constitution Hill, it's still probably got a good shout to get placed, in my opinion. But like I say, it all depends who turns up. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I would
It's
agree.
hard to make a case. Yeah.
I don't think there's a bet in the race right now. I don't know what's going on with this light here, by the way. It's just acting up on me. For those of you who are watching, you're like, what's going on? Oh, no, I can see his real face.
Is that Gavin Lynch again?
It is Gavin Lynch again. Yeah, he's sabotaging the lights again. Actually, Andy, cover for a second there, please.
Well, look, right, at the moment, right, you got the four big favourites, right, for the four big races, right? The Champion Hurdle, Champion Chase, Stayers, and the Gold Cup, right? And I worked it out roughly at the moment. It's about a 30-1 shot for Constitution Hill, Jonbon, Teahupoo, Galopin. Because there's going to be, in all of these, the big championship races, the main four, it's hard to look away from those at the top of the market at the moment. I know a lot can change, still got a couple of months to go, but I don't know if that appeals or not to some listeners, viewers, whatever. 30-1 for the big guns: Constitution Hill, Jonbon, Teahupoo, Galopin.
Well, I would just say from the top of my head, I remember 2004 Rooster Booster in the Champion Hurdle, Moscow Flyer in the Championship. Oh, it's done it again. So this is the thing. So if I do a thumbs up, it does a thumbs up for me. Thank you, StreamYard. Okay, we're starting to learn this stuff now. Rooster Booster in the Champion Hurdle, Moscow Flyer in the Champion Chase, Barracuda in the Stairs, and Best Mate in the Gold Cup. And Best Mate was the only one to come out on top. The rest of them all got dumped.
All bombed out. Mm.
So it can look like, oh, this is so obvious. Let's just do it this, and it doesn't always pan out that way. But certainly right now, I would agree. We're not going to talk about the Stairs Hurdle, but I would agree that Teahupoo is just miles clear of everything and will win. But I don't think there's a bet in the Champion Hurdle. Look, I've had a bet. I've talked about this before. I've backed Amsterdam at 50s and 33s. That dastardly Rishi Prasad got 66-1. The swine. Well done to Rishi. Fair play to him for getting that.
He could be on that as well.
Yeah. We'll see for shekels, but still it's 50s. So look, we'll see how he goes. But the 12-1 interests me. But you need to see him. You need to see him race again, and we haven't seen him yet. So it's a fascinating race. It's why we talked about it for as long as we did. I don't think we're going to talk about the Champion Chase for quite as long, though. And arguably, the horse whose reputation has been enhanced in the build-up to it on the back of Christmas is a horse who stayed in his box and just watched all the racing and possibly laughed to himself a little bit. Jonbon is the 2-1 favourite for the Champion Chase to give JP McManus a much-desired first win in the race. Gaelic Warrior, who was beaten on his seasonal comeback, is 9-2 and could go for the Ryanair Chase. Former dual winner Energamine would love soft ground, and possible he'll get beaten between now and then because he's been beaten in the Clarence House twice in the build-up to Cheltenham. But Jeff Banks goes 5s. El Fabiolo, who was the red-hot favourite for the race last year and was one of those, he looks untouchable, and it all went wrong. He's 8-1. King George winner Banbridge has got 3 options this race, the Ryanair or the Gold Cup, as does King George runner-up Ile Francais. They're both 16-1, and the Marie Nationale project continues. 20s, his Conqueror Solness is 25s. Some Christmas for Joseph O'Brien. Sensational stuff. 3 Grade 1 wins, but how did Solness win a 2-mile Grade 1, Peter Michael? And does anything appeal to you from a betting standpoint for the Champion Chase right now?
Yeah, some of the results were just mind-boggling, really. But as I said before, I actually said it on the show. I didn't mean it, but I said I wouldn't be surprised if Joseph O'Brien comes and wins it from Solmus at 33 to 125. I don't know how he does it. I really don't know. And the thing about his horses as well, some of them after the races, they're just the horses. You just look at them and I don't know if it's adrenaline or what it is. You don't see it with most trainers. You actually see it sometimes with Aidan as well. Their eyes are bulging out of their eyes of the horses are just so big and bulgy. You're just wondering how, like what, like they're still wired.
Yeah,
you know?
they're ready to go again.
It's probably adrenaline, or I don't know, but it just you kind of throw the form book out the window when stuff like that happens. To be honest, the solid one here, as you said, is Jonbon. He's hard to knock. 9-4. It's not the worst value I've seen. You know, so looking at the odds, I mean, if you're looking against him, who could you go for? Gaelic Warrior, Nergamine, who, you know, was impressive after, was it nearly a 2-year layoff? You know, again, horses coming back from whatever the injury was. They're not, you know, it's hard to have faith that they can, you know, these type of things can resurface anytime. El Fabiolo, as you said last year, we all thought he'd win, but his jumping didn't hold up. Yeah, look, Jonbon is a solid one here, 9-4. To be honest, you could argue that's a bit of value. You know, he's definitely the most likely winner in my book anyway, and I don't really see anything at an each way price that I'd like to be backing. So yeah, it'd be Jonbon for me here.
Yeah, I kind of think it's by default, Andy, but I honestly don't see a bet in the race.
Yeah, I mean, I think as you mentioned last time when it won the Tingle Creek, I mean, you know, it doesn't get the credit, does it, Jonbon? I mean, it's won 11 of its 13 runs over fences. I mean, that's like unreal stats, really. You know, it broke through the £1 million mark when it won the Tingle Creek last time, and you know, the Tingle Creek's got a decent sort of record of you know, horses that are running that have gone on to running this and win. But it's never won at the festival. You know, if you are sort of trying to pick holes in Jonbon, has been turned over there a couple of times. You know, obviously it's won at Cheltenham, but you know, the Supreme, wasn't it, and the Arkle a couple of years ago that he's come second in. So look, it hasn't run bad races at the festival, but you know, if you are latching onto something that you know you want to take it on with, but again, it's a bit like the Champion Hurdle. It's like, okay, well, if you don't like Jonbon, then where are we going? You know, you're going to come down. A lot of people are going to come down on Gaelic Warrior. Look, I think it just doesn't really like Leopardstown, does it? I know it won there over hurdles, isn't it, and stuff, but I think it didn't run a bad race last time, but it wasn't its running. Arkle winners, I think they got a fairly good record here. I mean, I know El Fab bombed out last year as an Arkle winner, but I think 7 of the last 14 Arkle winners to go on and run the Champion Chase the next season have actually gone on and won it. So, you know, that would be a positive with Gaelic Warrior. It's probably not going to run now, is it? I mean, I'd be amazed if they take it to Leopardstown after what happened, you know, last year and whatever. But you know, it's got a good record, fresh, and that's probably, you know, the solid alternative. Energumen, you know, a lot of people could argue the form of that. You know, it's winning the what was it last time out? I can't remember where it ran now, but the Hilly Way, wasn't it? When Banbridge fell. I mean, that's obviously been franked since, but look, last 11-year-old to win the Champion Chase was, you know, way back. Moscow Flyer and, you know, Super Duper rules, obviously. But, you know, take that one out, you've got to go back even further, like, you know, 1976, I think. So, El Fab could be the bit of a forgotten horse in the race. You know, has still won 6 of its 8 runs over fences, hasn't been out for almost a year, but it does hold an entry in the Ryanair as well, doesn't it? So we have to just wait and see if they're going to step him up in trip. We don't know. I mean, look, the interesting one could be, you know, the French horse that came second in the King George. You know, it's got entries in all of them, hasn't it? It's got Ryanair, Gold Cup, Champion Chase. And, you know, that's another debate. You know, where do we think it's going to go? For me personally, I think it'd be mad to go for the Gold Cup because I just don't think it'll quite last out. So we rule that one out, and then we can sort of pin our hopes on either the Champion Chase or Ryanair. And look, you remember One Man back in the day? Didn't quite last. They did it in the Gold Cup. I mean, it won King George, obviously, but absolutely flew out, didn't it, in this race? And you know, just rode him to sleep, didn't it? And it could be a similar thing. Had never run at Cheltenham, that would be the only thing. But you know, will it suit? Don't know. You know, there's nothing to say it won't suit. But it'd be, I think, an interesting one if they go either. You know, Ryanair or here. You know, from the front. But realistically, I mean, you know, Jonbon's a funny horse to me because it's like you can't really knock its form, but it's not really. I don't know, it's not really done it for me. Like, it's got like no affiliation with me. I don't think Jonbon sort of. So personally, if all of this line up as they are in the betting now, I'd probably be siding with Gaelic Warrior. But that would just be, we have to just wait and see. Obviously, like all these races, who gets there. But you know, Jonbon's the most solid. But the fact it hasn't won at the festival, I'm just going to sort of pick a bit of a hole in it, you know, that way. But
the only thing that came to mind during the Christmas racing for this race was that 50-1 Quilixios doesn't look too bad now. And he's not going to win the Champion Chase, but he might sneak third, and he might be able to go and finish second. Yeah, Jonbon's probably the most likely winner, but Aidan Coleman's been on the show, and he said he's absolutely adamant that he's not as good at Cheltenham as he is elsewhere. But he did emphasize that he had never, ever in his life experienced a horse like Constitution Hill just blow by him on a horse that was traveling very, very well in a Grade 1. It was a blur of white. He couldn't believe it. Still couldn't believe it when he pulled up. So he was beaten by an exceptional horse, and he was beaten by a very, very talented novice chaser in El Fabiolo, who was really good that season. And that would be a slight cause for concern, because Energumene missed the Arkle, and maybe he would have beaten Shishkin. Maybe he would have that year, and then gone on to win the Champion Chase. But none of Willie Mullen's Arkle winners have ever won the Champion Chase. So maybe this is the one who turns it around. Maybe. But I cannot recommend a bet in that race at the moment. I just can't.
I mean, it's probably worth mentioning as well that, I mean, Jonbon and Energumene, they're supposed to be clashing in the Clarence House next week at Ascot? Don't know if they're 100% going there. Well, I think Jonbon will go there, but there's talk of Energumene as well. But, you know, that's going to be a big influence on this race, obviously.
Which, if history repeats, Energumene will get beat, he'll drift out.
Yeah.
Then it'll be horrible weather on the day, and he'll win the Champion Chase.
Well, yeah. I mean, he had that absolute titanic battle with Shishkin, wasn't it, in the Clarence House? So, you know, do either of them want a race like that, like a ding dong at Ascot next week? We'll see. But I mean, look, let's hope they both get there, and I hope that, you know, we do see it. But that's going to tell us a lot. But look, Energumene's 11. I mean, I can't see it personally, but
I can. Form of Banbridge is looking all right. But
yeah, form with Banbridge decent. Yeah.
I just don't know if I want to back him at the price he is. This show is brought to you in partnership with Jeff Banks Bet. If you're looking for a new bookmaker, look no further. JeffBanks.bet. Use the promo code FFP500. Get 10% back on any net losses after your first month of betting up to £500. You can stream British and Irish racing on the Jeff Banks website as well. Best odds guaranteed. Loads of goodies. Loads of offers. JeffBanks.bet. Sign up now using the promo code FFP500. And there are some super competitive prices in the ante-post markets for the Cheltenham Festival as well, where Jeff is going industry best price. And remember, it's not an algorithm. It's his opinion and the team in the Jeff Banks War Room. It's literally their opinion versus yours, as opposed to some algorithm with a nerd going, well, mathematics. So go and take on a proper bookmaker at jeffbanks.bet. Use the promo code FFP500 and get your bets on for the Cheltenham Festival and take full advantage of that 10% money back offer after your first month of betting. Ryanair Chase entries are through. This is going to be the target for Spillane Tower, by the sounds of things, because the Gold Cup is going to come, and I quote, a year too soon. Okay. All right. Let's see how that one works out if Galopin Des Champs goes and beats Factifile again. And then suddenly JP has gone from having this awesome team of incredible strength and depth for the Gold Cup to, well, we might finish second to Galopin Des Champs in the Gold Cup at Factifile. Splans Tower is 6-1 for the one race he will be going for at Cheltenham unless something extraordinary happens between now and then. Factifile is 7-2 with Jeff. It's possible if Galopin Des Champs beats him in the Irish Gold Cup that things will flip around and Factifile will go to this race. But why would he run Splans Tower and Factifile in the Ryanair? It doesn't make a lot of sense. Gaelic Warrior 5s, Banbridge, the King George winner 5s, El Fabiolo is a 6-1 shot. Ile Francais has this option as well, 9s. Jello, who was so good in the Peterborough Chase, 16-1. He's also in the Champion Chase. And Grey Dawning, 14-1. Andy, after his disappointment in the King George, would you come for the race that he won a year ago with Stable Companion Protectorat and run Grey Dawning in the Ryanair Chase and just give up on the Gold Cup dream for this season?
100%. Defo. Skelton, get on it, do it. Because I don't think that it quite gets, I don't know, in the Betfair Chase, it got to the front, it had every chance, and then just didn't quite see it out. And it's got, probably about another furlong to go here if it goes in the Gold Cup. Bring it back in trip. We know that it won the Turners over 2.5 last year. And as I said in previous podcasts, at Grey Dawning, there was a lot of people going, yeah, Gold Cup horse and all this kind of thing, in a year or two. I didn't quite get that. That's probably been proven right this season. The King George, I think it made a bit of a hash of the first, didn't it? And then that they were sort of saying that the race was sort of gone, quite early on from there. But I don't think any of us really fancied it at Kempton on Boxing Day anyway. Ground was probably a bit too quick. Once it's softer, obviously. So if it comes up softer, here, that's going to help. The track's fine. That's 100% what I'll do. But yeah, look, there is still big talk of the Gold Cup. But realistically, it'll be one of the shocks for the festival. He's good enough to beat Galopin and potentially Factifile if that goes to the Gold Cup as well. So look, as I said, if I was Skelton, I'd run it here 1,000,000%.
I agree. And I know they've got Protectorat, but I think this is the race to go for. And I think he'll win it. And 14-1 is very, very fair. Peter Michael, discuss.
Well, look, it's hard to know who's running where. So, we're looking at the betting there, and let's, for argument's sake, say everything there is running. For me, there's only one winner. It's Factifile. If he goes first, I think he'll win. I think Galopin Des Champs will win the Gold Cup, and I can't see him reversing the form at Cheltenham an extra 2 furlongs. He travelled a bit too well at Leopardstown Factifile. He's quite a bit keen, and he came there. I think he was a length down going into last, and he was beaten 7.5 lengths. Now I know he stays well. I know he's won. He beat Monty Star there last year in the Brown Advisory. So he stays well, but it's a different kettle of fish running against Galopin Des Champs, and it's an extra 2 furlongs as well. So I don't think he'll beat Galopin Des Champs in the Gold Cup. So I think if they want to win the festival with him, I think this is the race. And I think 2 miles 4, I think he'll be very effective over 2 miles 4, especially the way he raced the last time. So for me, if he runs, he's going to take a good bit of beating in that race because I think he's a serious, serious animal. And, I think he'll win that, and I think Galopin will win the Gold Cup. I think that form is the form to go with. It's as simple as that, the way I see it. If he doesn't run, then I have no opinion on it at this stage, to be honest. But it's interesting, as you said, it's Brilliance Tower has been confirmed for this. Will JP want to run 2 in it? Well, I don't know. But if he wants to win it, his best chance is that file.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm not really sure I buy into the whole it's a year too soon for him. He's only 7. Factifile is 8. Yeah. Irish Gold Cup's going to tell us a lot. So Willie Mullins was saying over Christmas that it's a great race and he wants to support it. So they're both going to go for it. Maybe you could argue Galopin Des Champs was good in it 2 years ago, but wasn't great. Was very good in it last year. And might be somewhat vulnerable as he attempts to go for 3 Gold Cups, and that's going to be the real goal. And Factifile might do him, and if he does, then suddenly things change very, very quickly. I think that's Christina Ricci. You're reaching. You're really reaching. And if Galopin Des Champs just goes and buries him again, what's the point of... If you can't beat him at Leopardstown, how are you going to beat him over 3 miles, 2.5 furlongs on the new course at Cheltenham? You're not going to.
I'd be surprised if he although, as you said, he'll take the both run again in the Dublin Racing Festival. I'd be a bit surprised. I don't think that's the right thing to do for Fact to File. But then again, maybe they will run. I'd be a bit surprised because he definitely need Galopin Des Champs to perform to beat him.
Yeah.
So, and we given him a hard race. What is it? 6 weeks before Cheltenham? I don't know. So Willie knows, obviously.
There's a possibility they could go for something else as well, like he's not entered for. Well, maybe the entries aren't out for it yet, but Ascot Chase, Aon Chase, something along those lines. You go to the UK and you go for something different and try and give him a good confidence booster, and then go into the Gold Cup with your hopes held high and dreams aloft. But if you're going into it after having your colours lowered for the second time this season by Galopin Des Champs over an actual staying trip, as opposed to the intermediate trip of Punchestown, where Galopin is vulnerable anyway. Yeah, I don't see the point of that. It's amazing how it's changed. JP's team was so strong for the Gold Cup, and now it's basically hanging on one horse, in Fact to File, and you couldn't even be certain that he's going to be able to go into it. We'll go for one more race, and that's the Gold Cup, the big one itself, which Galopin Des Champs is the dominant favourite for, after he did us a massive favour at the Leopardstown Christmas meeting and proved that he is the king. He is the star stayer, and he shone brightly yet again. He's the even money favourite with Jeff Banks Bet to win 3 Gold Cups and become the first horse since Best Mate to do so. And then you got to go back to 19 Dickety Doo for the last horse to do it that's not called Best Mate. Fact to File is 4-1 second favourite, so he is still strong in the betting, and obviously plenty of people have decided to go and have a few quid on him. The Jerry Calam team have been talking him up and saying that he's the really only danger to Galopin Des Champs. 12s about last year's Gold Cup runner-up. Banbridge, the King George winner, 14s. Would he even stay? Grey Dawning, we hope, is going to go for the Ryanair. At least Andy and I do. Corbett's Cross, 20s. Maybe he can bounce back. Monty Star, who was beaten on New Year's Day, a 20s shot as well. Is there anything in this race that appeals to you from a betting standpoint that is not called Galopin Des Champs, Peter Michael? And is the even money just fair, middling, decent, tempting? What do you think?
Well, to be honest, I think he'll win. I think he's an absolute beast. This horse has everything. He's a speed. He jumps well. He travels well. He quickens. He stays. He's just, on his day, I think he's unbeatable. Even money, to be honest, at this stage, is poor. I know they're all even money. I mean, he won it last year. He was 10-11. The year before he won it, he was 7-5. You're going to get at least 4-5 on the day. You're probably going to get evens, maybe even 11-10. So I certainly wouldn't be backing him now at even money with 2 months to go. Over 2 months to go. I mean, if you want to tempt people, you need to be going a bit bigger than that with ante-post rules applying, in my mind. So, a lot of these bookmakers have killed ante-post betting. I mean, it's very hard to find value these days. I don't really look at it much, to be honest. Whereas years gone by, there was great value to be had. Now, I know a lot of people probably disagree with me and say, well, you can still get value out there, but it's just not appealing. It's not worth it with the risks attached because the prices are just so short. I think he'll win. I think he's the best horse in the race, and I think they'd be silly to take Fact to File there, but these people know a lot more than me, so you have to respect them if they do. And as you said, Jerry Colomb, they're talking him up. I think he'll come second again to Galopin Des Champs. I think that's how they're going to finish. I think Galopin will win and Jerry Colomb will come second. Banbridge, I think, will stay all right. The way he hit the line at Kempton and the King George, I know, obviously Cheltenham is a much different track, but they went some pace there. And he wasn't, he hit the line well. I think he'll stay. And with the way O'Brien's horses, incredibly overperforming the big days, you can never rule any of them out. And Monty Star is another one who, if he gets back on track, could fill the place. But the way I'm looking at this now, I think Galopin will win, and I think Jerry will come second. Jerry Colomb, that is.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about Jerry. I wouldn't rule it out. He's desperately disappointing first time up, but that's too bad to be true. There's only
After that.
5 British entries, Andy. And you couldn't even be certain that any of the 5 will actually run. They're talking about running L'Impresse in the Ryanair Chase now, trying to do a protectorate on it.
No, it's not entered. It's not entered. They took it out of the Ryanair.
Oh, okay.
I think it's only entry now as a Gold Cup, because I actually thought it might have a bit of a chance in the Ryanair, especially if it came up soft. But because it's weird, because about I don't know, a week or 10 days ago, they actually, there was a Ryanair, the owners want to go for it and all this kind of thing, and then all of a sudden entries came out, I think on Tuesday. It was Gold Cup was its only one left. So anyway.
But there's also just a lot of horses in here, Andy, that just simply aren't good enough. Like Gentleman's Game. Good old Hewitt was running a big race in it a couple of years ago, and obviously he's won at King George. Royal Pagaille, get out of it. He's tried it 3 times, he'll be lapped. Ahoy Senor, no chance. Jungle Boogie, I suppose, maybe.
I mean, the last winner aged up older than 10. We're talking about Royal Pagaille's 11. It's 1965. I mean, look, all of the last 25 have been aged 9 or younger. So even the 10-year-olds in there, like Hewitt and Presse. I mean, look, that was running all right last year. I mean, I think it came 4th. It just sort of fell in a bit of a hole last, maybe like Furlong or 2. So you could probably argue if a lot of these come out, it's not going to be as deep a race. So, maybe, I don't know, what price is Jeff going with?
25s.
Is in there? Oh, yeah, 25s. That's maybe a tiny squeak. I mean, like I say, it came 4th last year. We know it's won at the festival before and all that, blah, blah, blah. So, and yeah, I mean, look, Banbridge, I mean, you touched on that. I mean, personally, I think it'll go for the ride now. I mean, I think they'll be stretching its stamina a tad going here, but I might be wrong. And, obviously with that one, the ground is key as well. It needed to come up good, or good to soft at work really, and then if it comes soft, it's going to probably you're just guessing whether it's going to get home really in the Gold Cup. I mean, look, it ran all right it ran brilliantly in the King George, obviously, and it looked like it will get further. But Kempton and Cheltenham, totally different beasts of tracks. So as we all know, so we'll see. I think personally will go for the Ryanair, because I think that race is just going to cut up anyway, and Banbridge will be more suited to it. But we'll see. Jerry, yeah, look, it's going to be one of those sort of each one again, but. Is it a better horse at Aintree? It does all its winning there, really. I think personally that, just save it for there. But they're going to run it here, and it'll probably pick up some prize money. And look, we'll find out at the Dublin Racing Festival what happens with Factor File, if it goes here or the Ryanair. But other than that, you're just sort of scrapping around a bit, aren't you, trying to find anything? And you could maybe make a bit of an each-way claim for Corbett's Cross, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, the ground was way too fast for it in the King George. Still ran all right. I think it came 6. Would have needed its first run out at wherever that was. Was it Wexford? No, Wexford or something? Yeah, Wexford.
Hartwood. And he was giving loads of weight too.
Yeah. So exactly. So you can make excuses for its last 2 races, 100%. And the way it won the National Hunt Chase last year at the festival, it's going to stay. So that would probably be, if you are looking for something at the moment that it's going to probably run the race unless something desperate happens to it. Again, I can't see your price has gone on there, but I think it's going to be around 25s, 33s, bit of an each way squeak, and it's not going to be a fully wound up fit Galopin, which we know that one's going to be. And to answer your question, the last horse that won 3 on the spin before Best Mate was the mighty R.
Of course it
64,
was.
65, 66. So, yeah, I mean, if it does, Galopin is going to be joining a couple of big names there in the old Gold Cup Hall of Fame. And I hope it does, to be honest with you. I think, like Peter said and like yourself said, and I mean, unbelievable as well, the price when we did the Christmas special, when I think it was your nap, Emmet, of the whole Christmas period.
It was 2 to 1.
We were all just 2 to 1, and we were all going, what the I mean, I know it didn't go off 2 to 1 in the end, but it was 2 to 1 when we did that filming, and that was only on the Monday before. It was you just think, crazy, how are these? But anyway, hopefully some of the people picked up on that and got on. I think it was William Hill, wasn't it, or something? Because we named him Shane, didn't we? So,
yeah. Punish them.
Yeah, they got that. Yeah. But yeah, look, that's it. Look, Galopin wins if it gets there. Hopefully, it wins its third on the spin. And Corbett's Cross, if you're looking for a bit of an each way squeak at the moment, maybe 33s or 25s, something like that.
I think it's extraordinary that the Gold Cup looked so exciting at the start of the season. And right now, like 3 months out from it, it just looks like Galopin Des Champs is going to win. And he's going to make history. Unless something really weird happens.
He's such a superstar. That's to do with him in a way. Do you know what I mean? He's just, when he turns up, he's unbeatable. He's unbeatable. And, this horse, a lot of people know how good he is, but I still think he's underrated. That's how good I think he is, if you get me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, like as I was saying, Jerry Colomb, I think, if Gordon gets him back on track, I think he could definitely fill up, you could definitely see him placing and probably be second. But he's a horse now that these absolutely stupid whip rules will suit because, I think the more they get stuck into that horse, the more he keeps responding. And with these rules that they have in England, that's something that's going to play against him. But I still think I don't think he's a hope of beating Galopin. I don't think anything does. But I think despite the whip rules being against him, I think he'll come second and third.
And Galopin's positioning as well will suit him. So anything that's trying to close, you can't crack the shillelagh too much without getting thrown out or getting a massive ban.
He's actually mad to think. Sorry, Peter, go on.
If you lads watch the race, one of the races that Ennis Kerry won at the Leopardstown Festival there, I'm not sure if it was the 26th, or I'm not sure what date it was. But, I mean, after the last, that was just beautiful to see. Sean Flanagan gave the horse, I think, about 7 smacks. But it was just, there was nothing wrong with it.
No.
And he needed every one of those to get up. And he just got up in the last 50 yards. The horse responded to everyone. And if that was in the UK, you're breaking the rules.
Yeah.
Where I saw something beautiful there. That's beautiful to watch. Go and watch the last 2 furlongs in that race and see. That's what racing is. That's what people want. Now, I don't want to see horses beaten up. Absolutely not. If a jockey's whacking away at one and the horse is not responding, then yeah, you deserve a 4 or 5 days holiday or whatever it is. But for the horse to keep responding and you can't give the horse another 2 or 3, stop.
It's a foam padded air cushion device made of fiberglass and foam padding developed with input from the RSPCA. Get off your high horse. It's not a welfare issue. Yeah. Crazy.
Anyway, sorry for that up, but I just had to because that's playing against Jerry Colomb. So
yeah, I agree.
We have to,
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Right. Is there any ante-post bet? Or are most of the markets just a little bit too settled? Does anything appeal? I think Grey Dawning for the Ryanair is interesting, but you're kind of throwing a dart in hopes that the Skeltons decide we're not going to take on Galopin. We're going to go back to the Thursday of Cheltenham and try and win over course and distance again. Andy, does anything appeal to you?
No, I mean, I'm with you with Grey Dawning. I just hope they do it. I mean, I don't know if Jeff or when Jeff is going to go non-run no bet. I mean, a lot of people are crabbing that offer at the moment.
I hope not until late.
Yeah, hopefully as well. I agree. I think I can't remember who it was. Someone did a good article on it, and basically the bookmakers that are offering that, their prices are absolutely shocking, and that is the reason why they're doing that. The over-round percentage in some of the books is just like 150 plus and whatever, and it's just like you would never back those horses on the day at those prices, and it's like yes, you're getting the safety net of if they don't run, but the hit you're taking with the prices is just like unreal. So look, that's the thing. Yeah, if it goes Ryanair, that's probably a bit of a squeak. But it's like these 4. We haven't talked about the stayers, but you could argue that all 5 of the big championship races at Cheltenham, they're just going to potentially just cut up all of them. Like we know probably in all of those races there's going to be about 3 or 4 at the top of the beam now in the ante-post market. They just ain't going to go there. And then that is just going to, shorten up the big favourites even more. And then we've still got the Dublin Racing Festival to navigate through and get a few more clues with and blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, it could just be one of those, those festivals again. I mean, last year I think it was 9 winning favourites over the 4 days. And I think, I don't know, I wrote it down. So I think we had 12 winning favourites in 2022. And I don't know, the way things are going at the moment, it could just be another. I don't know.
I think what to expect, especially after the Christmas, I think Willie is probably going to clean up and win everything. He'll have his horse. You'd imagine he'd have them all back, even though some did, like Galopin Des Champs was excellent. There's a few others that ran well, but as Emmet said, a lot underperformed. So, if he has them back, I know there's not that, what is it, 6 weeks in between them?
Yeah.
Something like that. So it's not a whole 5 weeks. It's not a massive time for him to get that back, because, some of them were just woeful. So, I ended up not having a bet in Galopin Des Champs because I didn't back him into 2-1. And the way his horses were running, I just left the race alone. I didn't get involved in it. But it just kind of it confused everything a bit. And if Willie gets off to a good start at the DRF, he could just win 60-70% of the races as per normal.
That's per normal, yeah.
Are you listening, British trainers? Are you excited for the Willie Mullins invasion yet again?
Well, the one thing I'd say to the British trainers is they shouldn't be afraid coming over from handicaps. I think their horses, the way the Irish handicapper is these days over the flat hand jumps, I think, they've had success coming over for a few handicaps, the English horses. Yeah, I think they should. Washington won well as well a few weeks ago. I think they should look at that, the English trainers with handicaps. They really do.
I think there's 6 entered for the DRF British trained horses, and I would take them all very seriously. Those British trained horses in handicaps in Ireland are deadly. And the British absolutely mop. It's a completely different code, but they destroy us in the sprint division.
If you're getting put up £10 for coming 7th in a handicap, the English have to have a chance.
Yeah.
We're getting the Irish getting whacked left, right, and centre.
Well, hopefully that'll be an angle for us to exploit at the Dublin Racing Festival in the build up between now and then.
Yeah, it depends on the ones.
Anything that appeals to you before we wrap up, Peter, or do you want to hold Matt tough?
No, to be honest, I don't really. Amsterdam, if I knew he was definitely going first, you might take a chance at 12-1 each way because, as Andy said, the race will cut up and there's only realistically 4 or 5 that have a chance and probably only 3 of them are going to run.
Yeah.
So if I knew he was working well and they were definitely going for that with a race before that, possibly at the Dublin Racing Festival, I could take a chance with that. And, Constitution Hill, we know has had his issues before. Lossiemouth, you have to respect big time and Brighter Days Ahead, obviously, but that horse could be anything. So if you wanted to take a chance, that's the one I would. But I think the market's hard to get value these days on ante-post.
Well, when Adam and I talked about Amsterdam on the show, he was still 20s. And he hasn't left his horse box and he's down to 10s. 12-1 with Jeff Banks' bet. So we'll see. Be a beautiful result if he was to go and win the DRF under a typical Danny Mullins ride in the Irish Champion Hurdle. One of those brilliant Danny rides, and then Paul is on board at Cheltenham. Whoosh. Happy days. We can dream.
Could happen.
We can dream. All right, different show today. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. I really appreciate the fact that the two boys weren't like, well, I'm going to put up this horse at a price. But there is very little point in speculative bets on Cheltenham when the value's not really there and when these races could all fall apart. Grey Dawning is a speculative bet, but he won't be 14-1 if he goes for the Ryanair. But I really appreciate the honesty of the two boys, and it's good to get their opinions on where the championship races currently sit. We're going to be doing more specials with Paul Ferguson. If you like the Weatherby's Cheltenham Festival betting guide, the biggest discount that you will get for that is here on the Final Furlong podcast, as always, and we're looking forward to teaming up with Weatherby's for that again very, very soon. It's not long until Paul's going to be on for his first Cheltenham special, previewing some of the big races and building up to the release of the Cheltenham Festival betting guide. And by then, the team at Weatherby's will have given us the promo code for you as well. So keep an eye out for that one on the Final Furlong. And please God, some big guests coming up talking about their horses to look forward to for Cheltenham 2025. From Peter Michael, Andy Newton, and me, Emmet Kennedy, sincere thanks for watching. Sincere thanks for listening. And we will talk to you again very, very soon. Look after yourself and each other. God bless.
The Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.